Everybody, what's going on? I hope everybody's having a good day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I wanted to come in for a minute and talk to you guys about Barron Trump. Barron Trump is the 6'9", 18-year-old son of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the newly minted president of the United States. And there was a point in President Trump's speech. I didn't watch the whole inauguration. I don't watch the parades and all that stuff. It's not interesting to me. But I did watch some of the big stuff, and there were a few things I noticed about Trump's inauguration. One thing I noticed is that, and you should notice this, a lot of you may have noticed this, is that in this inauguration, one thing that was very different from previous inaugurations is that up on the stage with the president, you had a lot of tech giants. You had a lot of the biggest CEOs of the biggest companies all around the world. You had mostly technology, a lot of tech people from Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, of course, a few others, right? And Sundar Pichai from Google, he was up there as well. And that was a really interesting development. I've never really seen that before. And the Wall Street Journal actually did a deep dive report on all the companies that are pretty much kissing Trump's butt. There's a lot of companies that are lining up to kiss the pinky ring. They're going out to Mar-a-Lago. They donated so much money to Trump's inauguration fund that they had too much money. They literally had more money than they actually needed in order to spend. So they've really gotten it's so crazy to see. Just a few months ago, 5 months ago, he was sort of this guy on his way to prison. He's on his way out, no chance. And now he's literally the most powerful human on the planet. But this too will probably pass. Things pass. People go from being popular to unpopular and then maybe popular again. And so it'll be interesting to see how this develops. Now, I want to ask you all a quick question really quick. Give me a yes in the chat. Or actually, look, how about this? Trump or Kamala? Who'd y'all vote for? I'd be really curious to see in the chat who you voted for, Trump, Kamala, or you can say neither. If you voted for neither, that's fine too. Trump or Kamala, put it in the chat because I want to ask you all this question because I've noticed this being okay. Someone says West. Yeah, I didn't vote. I didn't vote for Trump or Kamala. I like Cornel West. He's the only politician I allowed to come on my platform. Trump and Kamala didn't ask, but Kennedy did, and I wasn't interested. It wasn't that stuff like that's not interesting to me. Okay, so AG says Trump. Sharon says Kamala. Jamal says Trump. Okay, King Lewis says Trump. Ricardo says neither. Deborah says VP Harris. All right. So the other day, anyway, my wife and I had a really lively discussion. It was me. They ganged up on me. It was her and two social workers, and they're both very much anti-Trump, or they're all very much anti-Trump. It's all three of them, and I'm not pro-Trump. I'm not. Any of that. I just said, well, I kind of have a more nuanced perspective because I was following him 20 years before he got into politics. And I just have seen him. I've studied him from a financial standpoint. And I just think politics is too divisive, too radical, too extreme. I'm not an extremist. In fact, well, at least not politically. When it comes to Democrat, Republican, I frustrate all my Democrat Party friends because I'm not shaking in fear because of Republicans in office. And I frustrate my Republican Party friends because I won't pick a side. I won't go as far as saying I want to be a Republican. I don't want to be one. I want to be free. I want to be what I am, and I think that what is hard from my position is that I'm radical about one thing. There's one thing I'm going to be radical about, and that's about Black wealth, Black people having wealth in their pockets. I'll be radical about Black family. I'll be radical about Black mental and physical health. I'm radical about Black independence. That's what I'm radical about. I am not radical about Democrat or Republican. I don't believe either party has the solution. I mean, in my book, I was like, isn't it funny that we replaced a war criminal with a convicted felon? How funny is that? That's what America is going to give you. America's going to give you either the war criminal or the convicted felon. The lesser of two evils. The lesser of two evils is still evil. So if you are upset with that perspective, then I'm sorry for you. But you don't tell me what to do. I do not have a boss. You can let the Democrats be your boss or the Republicans be your boss. I don't have a boss. So that's where I come from with that. Now, let me talk about Barron Trump. This is interesting. I want to point out. Barron Trump, did y'all see that? Did y'all see where President Trump, let me know, give me a yes in the chat if you saw where President Trump was speaking, and he says, I have a son, a very tall son named Barron. And he says, stand up, Barron. And he had Barron stand up, and Barron stands up, and he's kind of he looks a little awkward. He looks like, maybe it's because he's 18, but he looks like a guy that might have some naked kittens in his basement or some dead rabbits, hid under his bed. Like he just looked real Jeffrey Dahmer-ish in a way, to be honest with you. He's kind of a weird looking guy. But it was interesting. I thought about it. I was like, I wonder why he took time in his speech to acknowledge his son and to bring his son out on the stage like that. And what I saw was I saw legacy there. That's what I saw. I saw a man who was deliberately and intentionally positioning his son into the public eye as a person that can take over in a leadership role when his father's not there. And what I saw was an 80-year-old man saying, "Hey, I've got this healthy young 18-year-old who's got another 60 to 70 years or more on his left on his Rolodex, and he can continue my agenda. It's very important that I train him and educate him so that he can pursue my agenda." That's what I think. That's what I saw. That's what I saw with that. It wasn't ain't no accidents. He didn't talk about Eric and Donald Jr. and his wife, and maybe he kind of did, but he didn't really go out of his way to mention anybody other than that big old tall ass son. And his son, we have a 6'9" in our house. Actually, our son is Quincy. He's 21 years old. He's 6'9", and I told Quincy, I said, because you're tall, he's tall and he's handsome, ladies. So when you see him, don't be flipping out. But he's tall and he's handsome and he's smart. And I said, look, you're a natural leader. People are going to look to you for leadership. It's up to you to decide how you want to carry yourself. People will treat you the way you carry yourself. So we talk about these things. So anyway, my point is to say that Trump has plans for Barron. That's a great way to say it. He has plans for his son. No doubt about it. His son's going to inherit a multi-billion-dollar empire. His son's going to, at the age of probably 27, going to have 100,000 employees. He's going to be deeply involved in politics. He's going to be in a scenario where people are going to watch every move that he makes. He's going to have a lot of friends. He's going to have a lot of enemies. He's going to have a lot of stuff that we can't even imagine, right? So with that said, here's the thing I want to ask you. Here's where I want to go with this, right? So here's what I want you to visualize. Give me a yes if you agree with the assessment that Barron Trump is going to be a kid that's going to inherit a lot of power. Give me a yes if you agree that his father is preparing him to lead, not to go get a job. Give me a yes if you agree that there's a reason that his father sent him to NYU, which is one of the best business schools in the world. Give me a yes if you understand legacy. Give me a yes if you understand what's happening there. I want to make sure you see this, okay? And here's what I want you to understand too. When we do our Money in the Morning, our millionaire training camp every morning, and for those who are not coming, like there's over 10,000 of you signed up. It's free. Every morning we do economics every day because we're serious about this. I ain't scared of Trump. I ain't scared of Biden. I ain't scared of nobody because we can compete with those people. And so I'll tell you guys how to join in a minute. But one thing we talk about is consciousness, economic consciousness. You don't have wealth because you don't have financial consciousness. You don't have wealth because you don't have the plan. If you had the plan, then you'd have the money. This power move that's happening right now in Capitol Hill, that is 100 years in the making. That's 100 years in the making. That's 100 years in the making. That's a culmination. That nothing happened that day. That was a result of some things that have happened since 1925. When Fred Trump in the 1930s decided he was going to start building or buying his own real estate instead of working for other people, that's when the power move began. He didn't come out of he didn't leave his shift at McDonald's to go down for his inauguration. He didn't spend 40 years working for other people. He didn't get raised. His father didn't say, "Hey son, make sure you know how to fill out a job application. Make sure you knows how to make your boss happy." He didn't get those conversations. He didn't get that kind of talk. He got the Barron Trump training. When I talk to you all about educating your own children, that's one of my most fundamental core values. When I talk about educating your own children, I need you to pay attention to what the powerful people do in this country. They don't leave the education of their kids to other people unless they know that that person's going to educate them to take the role that they believe that they should have in this society. There's nothing about the way Donald talked about Barron that says, "Son, I hope you goes to school and makes a good grade so you can get you a good job." That wasn't what was happening there. He's saying, "No, this is going to be your president one day, and I just need y'all to go ahead and get a good look at his face so you'll know what's coming after I'm gone." That's what that was. That was a power move, whether you like it or not. It might be a disgusting power move for some of you because I know some of you get very emotional when we talk about politics, and I respect that. But still, it was a power move. Because that's how gangsters roll. And Trump, if you look at his history, he's been involved in boxing, one of the most corrupt sports that there is. He's been involved in casinos, incredibly corrupt. He's probably been working with the mafia in the U.S., the Russian mob. Oh, the man's got a track record of gangster shit, like you would not believe. So that was a gangster move. That was him. That was the white version of Big Meech. That's what that was. That was him saying, "This is your next boss. Go ahead and get ready for that." Because after I die, if I die of a heart attack at my desk, because I'm 80 and these things happen, I got a whole army of people in my family who are all ready to take over as soon as I'm done. So here's what I want to ask you, and I'm gonna ask you all this question after I answer a question. Some of you are asking, how do you get into the Money in the Morning, the Millionaire Training Camp? It's free. You can bring. I just ask. I don't ask you to pay money. I just want you to pay attention. So if you want to join us, you can go to drboyceelevate.com or you can also text the word morning, MORNING, to the phone number 87948. So text morning to 87948. I will send you an invitation. I'll send you a wake-up call. Tomorrow we're going to have a tax expert come in and talk about paying taxes on your crypto and your stock options income and all the other ways that I've been helping you make money for a long time. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. All right. So we do this every day, 7 days a week. We don't take days off because white supremacy don't take days off. Inequality does not take days off. Capitalist slavery doesn't take days off, so you shouldn't take days off either. Freedom should not be something that you think is ever going to happen for free. That's just what I believe. So let's finish about Trump. So here's something I want to ask you about Barron Trump again. So we've talked about this, right? Do you catch what I'm saying about this? How this is a power move? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Give me a yes if you're following this. You ain't got to agree with me. I just want you to hear me out. So Trump makes this gangster power move to say that's your next boss. That's the king. That's the guy that's going to be running things. And so he also says, no, I'm not raising him to be a Wendy's employee. That's your job. I'm not raising him to work for other people. That's what you do with your children. And in 20 years, your Barron in the year 2044, Barron is not going to be 18 anymore. He's going to be 38. 25 years, he won't be 38. He'll be 43. Let's pick 43. So let's go 25 years in the future. It's 2025. Let's fast forward to 2050. The year 2050 is going to happen. Barron is now 43 years old. His father's long dead, unless he invents a miracle drug or something. His father's gone. Now Barron is the king of the earth. Now Barron is the guy who's got $1 trillion net worth. By then, someone will be a trillionaire, and he's going to be one of the trillionaires, and he's going to be running around and doing, things probably similar to his father, continuing the Trump family's 200-year plan of global domination or whatever the hell that they got going on over there. Your child also, who's now maybe 18, he's also 43. He's also 43, right? So one day your child's walking down the street and he bumps into Barron Trump. And Barron gets out of his limo, and Barron's like, he's like, hey, how are you? And nice to meet you, John, or something. And your son's like, you're Barron Trump. You're the guy I saw on TV. And he's like, yeah, and they have a good conversation. And then Barron says to your son, he says, I like you, John. Why don't you come work for me? How does that play out? Let's say Barron is like his dad. Let's say Barron is arrogant. Trump is the therapists were all diagnosing Trump last night. It was pretty hilarious. So he's probably got a lot of mental health issues, the narcissism, all that. Kanye West has all that. That's why I talked to Kanye on the phone for about 12 hours. He got on my nerves so much. I told him I really don't want to talk to you anymore because you need help. If you don't get a therapist, then we can't talk. So Trump and Kanye get along because they're both diagnosably crazy. Let's just get it off the table. So let's say Barron is obnoxious and arrogant and a narcissist, just like his dad. But he's looking at your son and saying, son, John, I want you to come work for me. And he's like, and I'll pay you well as long as you do what you're told. He says, I'm the alpha, you're the beta, and I need you to understand that because Black people don't tell me what to do. Black people don't get to make their own decisions because I have wealth and Black people do not. Do you want that to be the outcome of that conversation? What I'm trying to get at here is that there are people that are preparing their children to basically become slaveholders in America. Do you think slavery is a dramatic word? Well, slavery is a lack of freedom. Do you know how many millions of people there are in America who have to go to some crappy job working for some jerk that they don't want to go to because their parents just did not make an economic plan for them? They have no economic parachute. They have no financial safety net. Their parents could have bought them a few $1,000s worth of stock when they were babies, and they'd be perfectly fine. But no, nobody thought about them. Nobody cared. Nobody had a plan. So unlike Donald, who says, this is my son, we've got a plan for him, I want to ask you, what is your plan for your son? What is your plan? Is your when your son enters into this cutthroat world of relentless capitalism where no one's going to be running around screaming Black Lives Matter, talking about how they feel sorry for him. Ain't nobody gonna care about your black son. Did you make a plan for him? In The Art of War, Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War, he said that battles are won before they begin. That's consciousness. That's fun. And in America, the biggest battles in this country are financial battles. The biggest wars in America are economic wars. Economic warfare was declared on you when you were born. It's been going on for hundreds of years. It ain't going to stop. When you saw all those oligarchs standing up there next to Trump, they were on that stage mostly because of what? Well, because of how much money they have. So you live in a country where it's been long determined that the people who have the money make the rules. The people that have the money get to define how things are going to go. The people that have the most money and the most power go around and they exploit and extract wealth, and they're able to manage and control those who are financially desperate. So when you raise millions of black children, listen to where I'm getting at. When we are crazy enough to raise millions of black children to be nothing but economic servants for the rich, the slavery works not because the slave master is looking for the slave. The slavery works because the slave is looking for the slave master. Your son is meeting Barron Trump not as an equal. He's not expecting like, oh, we're on the same footing and we're both free human beings who can do what we want. No, he's meeting Barron saying, I hopes I can make this white man happy so he'll give me a job. They trains me well at my HBCU. I got the degrees and the credentials. And sir, can I come work for you, sir? That's what we train our kids to do. They train their kids to play above the rim. We train our kids to play below the floor. So when they stand on our heads and dunk over top of us with testicles in our face, we get mad about it, but we don't understand how the damn game is played. Winning this game requires a certain element of toughness that I'm afraid some of us do not have. Whining about oppression does not make oppression go away. Crying about oppression does not make oppression more bearable. Being upset about it doesn't, did Elon Musk throw up a not probably, I don't know. He was born in apartheid. He probably doesn't like black people that much. But you know what Malcolm X would say? Malcolm X would say, of course, what made you think that these people were your friends? Malcolm X would say, well, why you been pursuing? Why you been trying to integrate with a devil anyway? That's what Malcolm could sit down with somebody who says, I don't really like Negroes that much. And he would say, that's okay, because I don't really like you that much, but let's make a deal. Hey, I got mine, you got yours. Let's not play any games with each other, because I'm not going to sit here and believe that you're my ally, because you're not. I'm not your ally either. So we're even. So for those of you that are so upset that literally get like emotional when you find out that a white person doesn't like you, I really have to ask you. I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of you, but I want to ask you, but do you like yourself? What magical vitamin is in the lemonade next to the cup of pee that you're drinking that's making you think that somehow this is a good, that this is all going to make your life better? A white man liking me doesn't improve my life at all. But for some of us, we really get caught up in that. Well, I heard he don't like black people. And I'm not saying these guys don't have power. They do have power. But you can fight for power too. You do know that, right? You do know that you can't actually fight back. You don't actually have to sit there and just get beaten up all the time. And so what I'm saying to you is that when I looked at Barron Trump and I looked at what his father did, and his father pretty much is educating him in his way, educating him with his family values, and preparing him to be a leader in the future, not preparing him to be anybody's employee, not to be anybody's slave, and not to be anybody's bitch. I want to ask you, are you doing the same thing with your kids? Or are you training your kids to go work for Barron Trump? because you do understand that when you're telling your child go to college, make good grades so you can get a good job, who are they going to be working for? Oh, the oligarchs that are on the stage. Mark Zuckerberg wasn't being trained to go be an employee. Mark Zuckerberg was being trained to be a business owner. So you got to make a decision. That's I mean, I'm just keeping it real with you. I mean, process it from a very logical perspective. Okay, Elon Musk is racist. Donald Trump is racist. Okay, all right, sure. But when you send your child to college and you say get good grades, make sure your resume is tight, make sure you do good at the interview, so you can get hired. Well, who's doing all the hiring? Why would you send your child into the mouth of the lion in the first place? What's happening here? Where's the disconnect? And then you're sad when they get eaten by the lion, but that's what lions do. Lions eat. And so I would almost say, to make it simple, is I think that black people should stop feeding their children to the very racists that you complain about on TV. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. How about some self-esteem? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying, my son may never have as much money as Barron Trump. It's real hard to get $10 billion. But here's what my son is going to have. I'm going to teach him and prepare him well enough such that while he may not have $10 billion like Barron Trump, he will have enough fuck you money in his bank account to tell Barron Trump to kiss his entire black ass if Barron Trump ever dares to get disrespectful with him. That's what I can do. I can make sure he's financially secure so that he doesn't have to go back to work scraping and bowing and holding Barron's testicles as he walks through the hallway because he's so scared that if he loses his job, he will have nowhere to live. That's the problem. The issue is not just the acquisition of wealth. The problem is aligning yourself voluntarily with all of the keys to financial desperation. You don't leave your children in financial desperation if you know how to avoid that. But how do we avoid it? I don't know what to do. I have a whole PhD in finance, a whole doctor. Do you understand that that's like being a surgeon, by the way? That's like being a financial surgeon. So I can dissect and decompose and chop into little pieces and deconstruct the wealth of every person on that stage and how they got it. I can tell you exactly what they did from the age of 18 to the age of 40 to become a billionaire. I can break it down for you because I've taught millionaires and billionaires when I was on the faculty of Syracuse. So stop acting like somehow white people have this magical brain block that they put in your skull that keeps you from having the ability to understand concepts related to wealth building, ownership, and economic freedom. That's not true. Here's your culprit. Here's your problem. Here's the villain in all this. The villain and the culprit in all this is bad economic culture. That's it. You have a culture that's fed to you from birth that trained you. Go to school. Make sure you're learning from white people so they can mess your head up. Then you maybe if you do's good, you can go to college, and then you go $200,000 in debt while you're in college. And then you can, if you're lucky, you'll get you a job that won't pay you enough to get out of debt, but it'll pay you enough for you to feel like you're a special Negro at that point. That's not the formula, people. That ain't the formula. You know what that leads to? That leads to what is referred to as the angry black middle class. The angry black middle class is millions of black people who went to school, got the degrees, got the BA, BS, MA, MS, PhD, JD, all the other letters behind their name that make them feel special. And they still go to work, and every day they are mad because every day they get fed a big pile of stinky, shitty racism, and they shove it down their throat. They're like, eat this, Negro. And then we go home and we're sad and we want to drink ourselves to sleep and we're depressed and having all this anxiety and mental health issues. Oh, and then on top of that, don't lose your job. See, you hate your job, but you need your job. So the only thing worse than going to the job is not having the job to go to. So you got two choices. Either you go to a job you hate, or you lose the job and then you go into even worse economic desperation. That's the pathway that we feed our kids, and I think that's the wrong path. I think that's a damn lie. That's some fake news for your ass. So I don't mean to cuss so much. I'm gonna stop cussing, but I'm telling you, this makes me angry enough to cuss. We got to pick a better economic model for our kids. We have to do that. We have to do that. What our children have to understand is that there's the big difference between the way a free black man walks through life and the way an enslaved black man navigates life. There's a big difference between what a free black woman does and what an enslaved black woman does. You ain't got to be rich to be free. You ain't got to be rich. You ain't got to be a billionaire or even a millionaire. You just have to have options. You got to have options. And I'm going to give you a true story that happened to me not long ago that illustrates this point. I told you all that I spent that time on the phone with Kanye. He called me during the All Black National Convention. He heard about it. A lot of people hear about me, and I guess a lot of people don't like me, but I think they should just get to know me because I'm not trying to be a bad person, but sometimes I say the truth, and some that rubs people the wrong way. So Kanye called me. We were on the phone for many hours, and it got to the point where Kanye just really got out of pocket and very disrespectful because unfortunately somebody lied to him and told him that he's always the most important person in the room, and I don't tolerate that. So we got to the point where our conversation got very, very tense. And, and I remember someone said, well, maybe you shouldn't, maybe you should find a way to work around it because he's got a lot of money and he's got money. He's not broke. And people speculate that he's broke. He's not broke. I saw his finances in extreme detail. His accountant showed me everything. He's not broke. And I thought about all the things that we could do with the Black Business School. I said, we could be, maybe we can build powernomics centers across the country. There's so many things I really would have loved to have done with him. And so kind of dealing with him was very difficult because I was like, gosh, I got to bite my tongue, but I was like, I can't do that. And so here's the deal. Here's where it came down to. It came down to the fact that I said, well, look, I don't have as much money as you do. I probably never will. Black people or the world likes Black rappers more than they like Black professors. So I'm going to have to earn my money the hard way. I said, however, I don't need your money. I said, look, if you're going to help the Black community, you can have all the credit. I don't care. You got the capital. I can give you the plan. You don't even have to say that I gave you the plan. But one thing that is not going to happen is you're not going to be sitting here disrespecting me because this is not appropriate. You can't talk to other people that way, especially not a grown man. This is not cool. And it got to the point where I saw the plan that we had, and I said, gosh, it's going to be hard for us to implement this, but we have economic freedom. I could straightforwardly say, I don't have as much money as you, but I do not need your money. Maybe you work with people who need money. Maybe you work with people who are financially desperate. I'm not financially desperate. And that's kind of how things went. And I can just tell you that I don't really know if I was financially desperate, if I could have really stood up to a billionaire in that way. I think at the time he was close to being a billionaire. He was making a lot of money. And there's many other situations like that where having money meant the difference between being able to stand up to a bully and not standing up to the bully. And I'm going to just tell you, I believe that our people get bullied every day when we go to work. We get bullied economically all the time by our situations. We get bullied constantly by people who clearly are anti-Black. I think a lot of the world is anti-Black. So you're not scaring me or surprising me when you tell me that you think Elon Musk is a racist. I don't give a damn because I was already there. What I'm trying to say is that his racism doesn't bother me. What bothers me is your racism against yourself. What bothers me is the fact that we don't do the things that we need to do to prepare ourselves to compete with people like that. What bothers me more than whatever Elon Musk or Donald Trump thinks about you is what you think about you. What bothers me is things like hearing rappers calling Black people the N-word all day long, and then we get mad when white people do it. What bothers me is when I hear, I see a culture that is encouraging us to ignore education, to make horrible choices, to put ourselves in bad situations. That's what bothers me more. So what I'm just saying to you at the end of the day is, for those of you that are already in that direction, I applaud you. I commend you. I want you to know, I want to encourage you, because I can tell you for a fact that your children are going to end up in a stronger position than other people's children. Your children will be in a position such that in the year 2050, when Barron Trump looks at your daughter and says, I'd really like to work with you because I like black women. I want to have a cute black girl next to me when I go to the office. Your daughter will have options and she won't have to be disrespected. She won't have to be a bed wench for Barron in order to pay the bills. Right? That's what you're doing when you invest for your kids. That's what you're doing when you prepare for your family. And here's the deal. I just painted a picture of 2050. You got 25 years to get ready. Do you understand that anybody in this room who does anything basic when it comes to investing can be a millionaire, can have millionaire children by the year 2050? Do you understand that if you had bought $1,800 worth of Apple stock for your kids in 1997, that will be worth over $4 million today? Do you know that if you bought a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of Nvidia, a little bit of Nike, a little bit of Apple, just a few dollars, right? If you've done these things consistently, invested for your child since they were young, they'd be very wealthy right now. And the kids that you have that are young, make those little investments. Keep doing it, be consistent, and then your child will have financial security. So at least they'll have the ability to say no. Because in America, those who don't have resources get screwed by those who do. Economic exploitation is not only at an all-time high, but it's going to continue. It's never going to end. Slavery is a very real thing. So anyway, what do I think about the Trump coin? I think I bought some just because I kind of think maybe his supporters are going to love him that much, but there's no fundamental value in the Trump coin. So it's pretty worthless, but his popularity is real. And that might be an asset that makes money. I don't know. I just bought some just to see what would happen. I'll tell you how it goes. But it was a fun investment. I fully prepared to lose all the money I put into it. So that's my 2 cents on the Trump coin. There's nothing there. There's no use case. There's no use case value. All right. So anyway, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Don't forget, I have a podcast on Spotify. So if you look up my name, Boyce Watkins, on Spotify, you can find the podcast there. Also, tomorrow morning, we are going to meet for our millionaire training camp. We do this every morning. It's called Money in the Morning. And we talk about the art of economic elevation, what that looks like, and I break that down. So if you'd like to join us, if you live in another country, you can go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com. Or you can pull out your phone and I'll text you in the morning. Text the word morning, MORNING, to the phone number 87948. So text morning to 87948. And last but not least, for those of you that are doing stock options with us, we are going to meet this week. And if you'd like stock options, if you have an interest in stock options, you'd like to learn about our Prime program, it's very popular. Feel free to text the word options also to that same number, 87948. So you can do it twice, and I'll send you some stock options information. All right, guys. So have a good day. God bless you. Good night. I'm going to spend time with my wife. Love you much. Be strong. Be black. Don't be scared of nobody. Alaikum assalam. Peace.